Hey there everybody, welcome back. It's Enigmatic Entertainment back again with another video, and guess what guys, it's time to continue on with that Kid Cudi series. So, Man on the Moon 3 supposed to be releasing hopefully this year. Finally, the long awaited, anticipated album of freaking Kid Cudi. We've been waiting for this for years. Real Kid Cudi fans know just what the hell I'm talking about. So this album is Indicud, his third solo studio album. This was supposed to be initially Man on the Moon 3, but he changed the title to Indicud. I'm guessing Indicud is a portmanteau of indica, cannabis, and, Mescudi, which is his last name. I don't know why he changed it, but hey, we rolling with it. Once again, it's Enigmatic Reviews. Winging this. This is the first album that he actually produced basically everything himself. So the production is going to sound a little bit different for the album, honestly. But hey, track 1, The Resurrection of Scott Mescudi. This is an intro track. It's an instrumental, and there's a few instrumentals on this album. Just have no vocals at all. It has a mechanical kind of vibe, like I could vision myself walking through some kind of factory. Everything's high tech, and it's very atmospheric, minimalistic. It proceeds to grow and change and develop as the track goes on. Pretty dang cool. It's very machinery, industrial, experimental in a way, so to speak, Definitely not bad at all. And you could say this represents Kid Cudi, as the title says, resurrecting, waking up in some kind of like factory, lab or something like that. And he just like maybe coming back to the music scene to bless us with another album. It's kind of freaking cool, honestly. I don't really find myself listening to instrumentals that often, but this one ain't bad. It's pretty cool. It finishes with an excerpt from The Good Son, which is a movie from like 91, 92, around there, I believe, early 90s. I've never seen it before, but this transitions also into the very next song, track 2, Unfuckwittable. Pretty positive track. Cudi singing pretty confident lyrics over a pretty trippy sounding beat. I can really vibe to it though, Lyrically, Cudi is going over more about, the fakes and the liars out there, and of course references a lot about being high and just being more sure of himself in general, speaking a little bit more positively, boastfully, and, talking about how he really knows not to rely on certain people now. And for me, the best part is definitely when he's on the chorus, exclaiming exactly how he is unfuckwittable. This is Kid Cudi at his finest. He has his confidence up. You can't fuck with Kid Cudi, basically. It's a great feeling to have. I don't blame him for expressing it, honestly. Sometimes I feel like that, You just can't mess with me. Kid Cudi. Come on now. Once again, it's pretty minimalistic lyrically, but this production, pretty dang good. So, since like I said, he's doing it himself, have to give props to Cudi, even if I don't like all the lyrics per se, for the production at the least. Cudi does his thing throughout various songs on this album, and some of it sounds pretty experimental, and this song is just one example of that. Next up is track 3, Just What I Am. This is the first single from the album, and easily one of my favorite songs on the album as well. A standout track. Probably one of my freaking top 5 Kid Cudi songs ever, actually. It features, once again, frequent collaborator King Chip, aka Chip the Ripper, on the first verse. This is another Stoner's anthem, you know the deal. Various references. Kid Cudi has his line where he's talking about neighbors knocking on the door, asking me to turn it down. I said, ain't no music on. She said, no, that weed is loud. And I'm like, haha, that's funny. And, nowadays people call like good weed or whatever, like loud, I got the loud pack and all that, But I'm just like, this is the first time probably I heard it, because this is back in 2013. So I'm like, were they, an instrument in popularizing that term? I don't know. I'm just saying, Good line again, just showing how potent his cannabis is, which is, top notch, A1, Then, of course, Cudi's chorus kicks in, just telling the listener how bad he wants to get high, like, I want to get high, y'all, and all that. And, another Stoner anthem. And among Cudi stoner anthems, which there's at least one or two on every album. Like, you know, Man on the Moon 2 had Marijuana. Man on the Moon 1 had freaking Up, Up, and Away, Higher. Both, you know, references to getting high and whatnot. This is probably one of my favorite of all those stoner, you know, weed, cannabis, marijuana tracks that Cudi has. Next up is track 4, Young Lady. This one features a sample from Father John Misty's song Hollywood Forever Cemetery Sings. I don't know what's up with that title. I don't know what's up with the name Father John Misty. I don't know anything about this guy, but I know that Cudi sped the track up a bit, and it sounds pretty dang good here. He did his thing once again with the production. Father John Misty is also featured on the song, doing background vocals for the chorus as well. Surely, as you could tell from the title, this song is all about a young lady that Kid Cudi has seen. And he's not with this woman or anything like that. They're not dating. He makes that very clear. He makes it quite clear that he's just watching her from afar, admiring her beauty, and, you know, just appreciating her for what he can see so far in a positive light. And he makes references, hoping that she has a good personality to match, you know, as well as admitting and acknowledging that he's not going to approach, but he's just going to continue to stay from afar and admire. And it's a very relatable song and easily one of my favorites on the album. It kind of does come across a kind of like, you know, this kind of childhood crush thing, like, oh, I'm not going to go talk to her. You know, I'm a little too embarrassed. I'm a little too shy. And I've been able to relate to that many times in my life, especially, you know, growing up as a kid, a teen, you know, not making a move and whatnot, not knowing how to properly court a young lady. So, hey, at least he's being open and vulnerable about it. There need to be more tracks like this talking about, you know, kind of like being as shy, socially anxious, kind of, I'm going to call it, you know, the shy guy's anthem. You know, I can vibe to this for real. People with social anxiety like myself can definitely relate to this, I'm sure. And on top of that, like I said, Cudi did his thing with the production, especially that electric guitar that's strewn throughout the song. Pretty dang freaking good. And it's another one of my favorite Kid Cudi songs and a top song on the album. Some people think it's kind of corny. I think it was freaking pretty good. So, hey, it is what it is, right? Next up is track 5. King Wizard. This is the second single from the album and another banger. Most of the song is really like the chorus and Cudi's just singing. You know, he does spit like 2 quick verses sparingly, and then he goes right back to singing. Once again, this is a more confident Kid Cudi, like I said on the first song, not the introduction instrumental, but the song after that. You know, Unfuckwittable. You know, I just love that title. You know, he talks about pushing the lames aside, refusing to be someone who fronts because it's not his style. It's pretty clear that Cudi is proven to be a force to be reckoned with in the music industry. He does it his own way. It's alternative, it's experimental, and he still does pretty freaking dang good, and he has a loyal fan base, and that's what's important. Another great track from the album. Another one of my favorites from the album easily. And it's funny because Kid Cudi sees himself as not just a wizard, but the King Wizard. And then I was thinking, like, for this review, because recently I've watched, like, some episodes of Black Clover, and he wants to be, like, the Wizard King, and I'm like, oh, what? When I listened back to King Wizard, I'm like, oh, Cudi wants to be the Wizard King, before Black Clover even came out. That's just some anime humor there, for those that watch anime, of course, but if not, then hey, moving on. Track 6 is Immortal. This is the third single from the album. Once again, like, throughout this album, Cudi sounds a lot more confident in general, and especially in these first few tracks. A lot more positive, you know. He speaks on feeling immortal, as the title of course says, and feeling as if he has powers, which must feel pretty dang great. It reminds me of like a manic episode maybe, which is something that people deal with that have certain mental health issues, you know, like bipolar disorder, you know, so on and so forth, manic depression. So it's a pretty relatable song once again for people like me, and I can vibe with it pretty dang good. It's not one that I've listened to, honestly, in quite a while, though. And I really don't remember why, because it's not bad. It's not one of my favorites like the first few songs were, but it's definitely no slouch, and it's not like a bottom-tier song or anything like that. But hey, next up is track 7, Solo Dolo Part 2. This one features Kendrick Lamar on the second verse and the chorus, and I really even forgot that he was on this album before revisiting it for this review. I haven't listened to the song either in quite a while, but looking back, Kendrick did pretty good. It's weird, but I never really thought about it, but him and Cudi are actually like the same generation musically, you know? But I never really thought about it, but they are, and it's kind of weird to think about it. Kendrick's debut album was 2011 with Section 80, which I might be reviewing. Who knows? Hey, a Kendrick Lamar album was suggested recently, so might get into that. Stay tuned. And Kid Cudi's debut album was 2009 with Man of the Moon, The End of Day. Not to mention that they both had mixtapes out before then. Kendrick had been releasing mixtapes since, I believe, 2007 or 2008, around there, I believe. And Cudi's mixtape was 2008 with A Kid Named Cudi. So they've been releasing music around the same time. Cudi just became mainstream a little bit quicker, As you could probably tell by the title, this is the sequel to the first solo Dolo from Man of the Moon 1. Not bad. Very different feel, though. It just doesn't match up with solo Dolo. Because that one was more about his loneliness and whatnot. And this one comes across a little bit more aggressive towards people and less about loneliness. Clearly, he even has a feature on the song which kind of kills the whole solo Dolo part. Not one of my favorite songs on the album. But hey, Kendrick did pretty good. Next up is track 8, Girls. This feature is Too Short and was released as the 4th single from the album. Easily another one of my favorites. You can probably already tell my pretty much like top 5 already almost, because like 3 of the ones or 4 of the ones I went through already are there, Without a doubt, that's another top 5 song for me. The subject matter is a bit similar to Young Lady, except in this one is instead of just a shy guy watching the beautiful woman from afar, Cudi and of course Too Short are rapping about much more directly being involved with her, if you know what I mean. The production on this one, once again, quite catchy, and the chorus is an interpolation of Pretty Girls by the group Kids of Whitney High, and it has a sample of Bitches by DJ Jimmy, which was also used in another pretty popular freaking song back from '01. We should all know what it is if you listen to hip-hop, Project Pat, and Chicken Head. Alright, bok, bok, chicken, bok, bok, chicken head. If you don't know it, go freaking listen to it. Like, what are you guys doing? That's a classic freaking Memphis song. But, yeah. Cudi raps about being single, ready to mingle, going to clubs, and all that good stuff, The chorus, pretty dang catchy, yet comes across kind of childish a little bit, or a little corny, because he's in this sing-songy kind of delivery. He's like, I see pretty girls everywhere I go, everywhere I go, and I'm just like, okay. And I remember this one time I was with a friend of mine like years back. He liked Kid Cudi too, and I think he picked me up or whatever. We was driving around just chilling, and he was like, oh, yo, play Girls or like whatever. And I was just like, all right, cool. So, popped in the aux cord and we were just driving around blasting Girls and just, driving by people like, I wonder if there's any pretty girl. It was funny, but, I get the sentiment. Very relatable once again. Too Short spit his usual like pimpish raps about women, light skin, dark skin, mixed, and all that stuff. How her have sex with basically like all of them. He doesn't discriminate or whatever and stuff. And I'm just like, what do you expect from Too Short? He did what he usually does. Not much to say about it. Hey, it's just kind of surprising to see him actually on a Kid Cudi album, though. And that's not a pairing I would have guessed, but they made it work. But given the subject matter for this song, I can see why he would be on this song if I had to pick one to feature Kid Cudi on. Definitely understand it. Next up is track 9, New York City Rage Fest. This is another one of the instrumentals. Like I said, I believe the album has about 3 of them. This is the second one. It's at the beginning, the middle, and the end pretty much. Kind of like a story, I guess, with the production instrumentals. I don't know. It gives me a kind of rave vibe, makes you want to dance. The drum pattern sounds like something you'd hear in like the Drumline movie, at like some kind of marching band or something like that. I'm at a loss for what words was trying. I'm at a loss for words with what Cudi was trying to do though with the title exactly. I'm from New York City. I don't know what this instrumental has to do with New York City or a kind of rage fest, but all right. Overall, it's not bad. Like I said, no lyrics or anything like that to really even break down the cipher or anything like that. But sounds alright. Next up is track 10, Redeye. This one features Haim. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Haim. Pretty much all over the song she is, or they are. And apparently, this is the only song here with co-production credits. And that is by Hit Boy. This is more of an, like, I don't know what to call it, like R&B, maybe pop. Kind of has like a video game sounding production. So, I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. I call it like a pop song. Regardless, it's not bad though. I actually don't know why I haven't listened to it, because like I said, I just came back to some of these songs for the review. This is another one of those ones I really just completely forgot about. But I don't hate it. I guess I dismissed it when I initially was listening to the album for some reason. Haim and Cudi sing about floating on a red eye, which is typically like an overnight flight, but it also could be a metaphor for being high. Your eyes be turning red sometimes, bloodshot, or maybe just staying up all night and your eyes are red from lack of sleep. Being extremely tired, working in the studio all day. Who knows? It could be a reference for any or all of those. It's Kid Cudi. Listen to the music and just feel it in your heart. And not a bad track at all. I didn't even know that Haim was a band, though, until doing research for this album, actually. I kind of thought it was just one or two people. But apparently it's a group of three sisters, a pop band. And, hey, that's cool. That works for me, Interesting. Next up is track 11, Mad Solar. This is a song where Cudi pretty much goes back to talking about haters again and speaking on his loneliness. The production even gives you an eerie kind of lonely feeling. Cudi sings about people thinking he's mad, and he tells them how he is indeed mad. Mad Solar. And I'm like, do you think I'm mad? Well, I am Mad Solar. And I'm just like, what freaking hell are you talking about? But hey, solar being a reference probably to the moon, the solar system, and there's moons in the solar system, so on and so forth. So I take it as he's basically telling the people that he's so far ahead of them, that he's on his own, he's different, he's unique, he's his own man. He's the man of the moon. So it all makes sense. It ties into the previous album titles and his nickname and all that stuff. I get it. I could dig it. The concept and everything makes sense. Not one of my favorite tracks on the album, though. Next up is track 12, which is Beez. This is basically a RZA song produced by Kid Cudi, really. It features a sample from Mind Playing Tricks on Me by the Ghetto Boys on the chorus. RZA's on both verses, spitting pretty aggressive lyrics while both him and Cudi tackle the chorus together. It's ironic getting one of the most notable producers in hip-hop, the RZA, to do the rapping while Cudi produces. Hey, it's an interesting change of pace. RZA comes through, though, for sure, with some pretty good lyricism, kicking bars like one would expect from any member of the Wu-Tang Clan to do, He has a pretty unique voice and delivery, I feel like, which he just makes it work. He might be more well known for his production and whatnot, and soundtracks and stuff, but he's definitely no slouch when it comes to the rapping, as he definitely shows here. Next up is track 13, and that is Brothers. This is a track you could probably tell is about brotherhood, obviously. Not biological. Cudi's not rapping about his actual brothers or anything like that this time, but he's talking about friendship and whatnot. Subject matter wise, that's right up my alley. Obviously, I'm all about friendship, camaraderie, bonds, homies, and all the like. It's a nice change of pace from the loneliness that Cudi talks about quite often in his albums. This song features, once again, frequent collaborator King Chip, aka Chip the Ripper, as well as one of my favorite newer artists, Harlem rapper A$AP Rocky, which makes for an interesting combination. Rocky and Cudi apparently weren't friends and didn't know each other like that at this time, but Kid Cudi for some reason felt like he wanted him on the song, and he was liking his music and whatnot. So hey, that works. But King Chip is a longtime friend of Cudi, so that makes sense for him to be on the song Brothers. All three of the artists, though, rap about friendship, having their homies' backs and whatnot, to being down for each other. Definitely like how this is a more positive track. I definitely like that. It's promoting being down for your friends. And we could use that subject matter more in hip-hop rather than, like, screw everybody, I hate everybody, just shoot them all up. Like, I get tired of that sometimes, Next up is track 14, Burn, Baby Burn, Disco Inferno. This is like a fast-paced track with Cudi spitting about the haters once again. In this track, like a few others on the album, he clearly seems fed up with the hate that he receives about things like his music or maybe just hate from people in general. I heard this album got some hate online. I don't know why, once again, but hey. He also admits to falling back into his cocaine usage, and how it damaged his nose as well as other various situations in his life, like having to grow up at the age of 11 due to the loss of his father. and really a bunch of honesty and a rapid fire aggressive tone with confidence and production to match. The song stokes these fierce flames, this tenacity with every line, and it's truly some of Cudi's best rapping on this album. Easily a standout track for me and one of my favorite Kid Cudi songs overall, and I know I've probably said that like 3 times already on this album, but this album has a few of my favorite like top 10 Cudi songs. Maybe I'll make a video about it so I can tell you exactly what those are. But hey, moving on, up next is track 15, Lord of the Sad and Lonely. There's another track with Cudi rapping about, as the title says, being lonely really, but being not just a sad and lonely person, but the Lord of the Sad and Lonely. Like, what the freaking hell? Here he pretty much tells people that he's the leader of those that feel sad, like he does, that are not happy, they're down, miserable with life, depressed. And it's understandably so, as I'm one of those people that his music truly connects with and can relate to the feelings of sadness, loneliness, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, inner turmoil and everything that he talks about quite oftenly. He acknowledges that these people look up to him and find a bit of happiness through his music. And it's not my favorite track, honestly. I wasn't really feeling the production. But I do appreciate the idea, the sentiment of the song itself. This is one of the tracks that I can really do about, because he's kind of covered this topic before on other songs on like his first 2 albums that I just personally enjoyed more. So this is one that I'd be like, like there's 2 or 3 tracks here that I'd be like, I could shave those off, make the album a little bit shorter and more concise. This is one of them. But thank you for feeling like the leader of us that struggle and listen to your music every day. It is very much appreciated, and I truly love Kid Cudi's music more than damn near anyone else that I can honestly think of. Moving on, track 16, Cold Blooded. Another track like the previous 2 where Cudi is rapping pretty dang good. He makes a brief shot here at his former record label, Good Music, by saying that he's the lost black sheep of the label, and laughs at the idea that he's only good at doing hooks, which itself is a reference to the fact that some people have just put him on the chorus or the bridge of a song rather than having him rap a verse on the song itself. Once again, Cudi is tackling the haters and doubters with a cool, confident flow. The chorus is kind of cool as Cudi sings about how he's a cold-blooded nigga. He gets quite aggressive at times, even mentioning like people and trying to keep his calm, talk about fighting, wanting to slit somebody's throat and all that stuff. And I'm like, damn, when did this dude turn into like Mobb Deep? What the hell? I'm like, yo, that's crazy. What's popping? This is one of the more bold tracks that I've ever heard from Cudi before. Like ever. It's actually pretty cool. So cool that it's, should I say, cold-blooded? Track 17, Afterwards, in parentheses, Bring Your Friends. This is a track very sparse lyrically. It features King Chip again and Michael Bolton. And it's easily the longest track on the album, sitting at just over 9 minutes long. This is this is a song about having a good time, partying and all that, and then having some women come back to your place to party some more, you know what I'm saying? The beat also switches up and seemingly evolves throughout the song, which is a bit trippy, because it starts here and then it goes, and it changes up, but still kind of has similar tones to it, and I'm just like, what is going on? Perhaps it's like another one of those drug-influenced songs where you're just like supposed to be high as hell when you're listening to it, like, oh. There's not much of a rap verse or anything like that, but King Chip and Michael Bolton do most of the choruses and bridges on the song. Cudi contributes a little bit more vocally toward the louder part of it, with various hums and singing and whatnot. Overall, it's a really long song. It's alright. And once again, this is another one that I haven't listened to in a while. I came back to for the review. I don't really see myself listening to this on repeat, largely in part to the fact that it's the sheer length of the track, but there's also a certain mood that I'd say you should be in for listening to this song. And it also marks the 3rd time that King Chip is on this album as well. Not a problem. Just saying. He's on this track. He's on this album 3 times. And that's pretty cool. Next up is The Flight of the Moon Man, track 18. This is the album closer and yet again another instrumental track. So once again, not much else to say about it. It does set a mood once again though. In the beginning, if the beginning one was like Cudi, being resurrected, coming out of the factory, this one might be him like leaving or like going to sleep or something like that. And considering the title is Flight of the Moon Man, I'm assuming he's like off to the moon. You know, it's a bit more eerie and gives me a vibe of nighttime in the woods or something like that. Something along those lines. As the title says, once again, Flight of the Moon Man is a reference to Cudi, you know, Man on the Moon and whatnot. And it's also hints at his next album, which was released in 2014, Satellite Flight, which was his fourth studio album. So that's pretty cool. He opened it, put the middle and the closure as instrumentals, give you a kind of vibe to roll with. Overall, Indicud is another good album by Kid Cudi. I know it seems to have gotten some hate, and once again, like I said earlier, I don't really know why. There's very few tracks that I could really just take or leave on here as usual. That's to be expected. Also, when you have an album over an hour long, especially, this album was about 70 minutes compared to Man on the Moon 1 and 2, which were about, I think, 55 and 60 or so, respectively. Once again, this is his longest album up to this point. I could mostly do without the instrumentals, and not necessarily that they're bad, but they're just, you know, instrumentals. And there's another song or two besides that. You know, but hey, some stuff he touched on better in previous albums, like some subject matters, some lyrical content. But the features were all pretty good as well. You know, I like that he had some newer artists there as well as veterans. You know, Rocky and Kendrick as opposed to RZA and Too Short, you know, respectively, which is pretty cool as well. The songs I liked the most were pretty much the songs with Cudi really rapping hard, you know. Like Burn Baby Bear Burn is like one of my favorite tracks by Cudi ever. Also, props to him for handling almost the entirety of the production himself. He learned a new talent, a new skill, and he did it pretty dang good for his first album. I commend him on that. A few of the tracks, it could have been a little bit better, but I wasn't obviously expecting anything perfect or anything like that. So, hey, you know. Indicud, Enigmatic, reviews. I give it like freaking 2 thumbs up. That's a pretty dang good album. This is, I'd have to think about it a little bit more and put them in order, but this is probably one of my top 3 Cudi albums still. Maybe top 4. It's rough with Cudi. It really depends on the mood and whatnot, but I like it. So, anyways, guys, like usual, thank you for watching. Click the thumbs up button if you like the video. It helps. Leave a comment in the comment section below also, because that helps as well. Share it with a friend, family member, anyone, especially someone you know that likes alternative hip-hop, Kid Cudi, and things of that nature. And of course, you know, if you have a suggestion for an album for me to review, keep in mind that I am still doing Kid Cudi albums. I have 3 more of his solo albums to go after this. And I can also be doing other albums in the meanwhile as well. And of course, make sure that you remember to follow the channel on Instagram, follow the channel on Twitch and Twitter as well. And of course, remember that I have Discord and I'm on there pretty often. That's usually where you can find me when I'm not doing this stuff. And, you know, if you want to join the Discord server, you can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, any suggestions, comments, concerns, business dealings, things of that nature. I'll respond to you as soon as I can. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay listening to Kid Cudi because he makes some pretty dang good albums. I'm Idiomatic Entertainment. This is Idiomatic Reviews, and I'm out, guys. Thank you. That's all.